Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our post-match press conferences. I just want to set the ground rules for those who may be new to the room here tonight. We will ask you to raise your hand, and we'll get a microphone to you. If you could give your name and affiliation before your question, we'd appreciate it for our student athletes, and also you're allowed one follow-up question. And I am joined by Anthony Robles, our champion at 125 pounds, who the #1 seed improved to 36-0 and caps a perfect season with his first championship today. So Anthony, congratulations. Go ahead and open it up for questions at this time. Please raise your hand up high so we can get a microphone to you. We'll start right there.
You want the coach up there?
No. No. Coach will be available in the hall afterwards.
Anthony, Craig Sesker, USA Wrestling, and obviously the first takedown was huge. Just take us through that, and how big a part of the match was that?
It was huge. You know, I had a lot of butterflies going out there. I mean, I've dreamt about stepping on that stage a dozen times, and this whole year I've just been preparing for that moment. And I was scared. You know, I was scared out there, but as soon as I hit that first takedown, I sort of relaxed. I was like, okay, you know, just back to business, same drill as usual, like every other match. My coach has prepared me well. You know, we've been working all year. The past 2 years, Coach Charles, Coach Stith, couldn't have done without him. You know, I felt super confident out there, and it was a team effort. And you know, I just want to thank my training partners, my family for supporting me. And you know, it wasn't just me out there. I was doing it for all of them too.
Let's go down front here. Go ahead. Right there.
Anthony, Scott Casper, Takedown Wrestling. First of all, congratulations. You said yesterday that this would be your final match. Is it indeed your final match? Have you had any second thoughts?
No second thoughts. You know, I've been thinking about it all year. People have been asking me if I want to try out for freestyle or anything like that. But you know, I've had a great run. Started wrestling when I was a freshman in high school. It's been a great ride. You know, wrestling's helped me to mature. You know, I've gotten so much self-confidence from the sport, and I love the sport. But I think from here on out, my wrestling competition days are over, and I'm really going to be focusing on my next goal, which is to be a motivational speaker. But I'll be around wrestling for the rest of my life. You know, I love it so much.
Let's go in front to Gary, and then we've got a question back there we'll go to next in the back left. Go ahead.
Anthony, I'm curious about the turns and tilts that you're able to execute. You know, over the years, it's been a big part of your game, but you know, you're in the national championship final, and we're able to take the defending champion over a few times right at the beginning of the match, and it kind of set the tone. I mean, how long did it take for you to learn all the different nuances of being able to get that so that you can make it happen in the highest level of competition?
It took a while. You know, when I started as a freshman, I had no idea what tilts were. I was a terrible wrestler. I was only about 90 pounds, but my mom always told me that God made me this way for a reason, and I believe that reason was for wrestling. You know, when I started off, not a lot of people gave me credit. Even after I won the national high school championship, I wasn't getting a lot of D1 offers because they thought I was too small. But you know, really, my tilting is due because I have such a strong grip, and that's because of my crutches. And you know, it's just a privilege for me to be able to wrestle for Arizona State, and you know, have some great coaches, not just at ASU, but from my high school days as well. You know, they really drew up some different things for me to do. It was just kind of a trial and error thing, and found out that tilts were my style, and we just ran with it. And you know, God is good.
In the back there. Yep. Oh, right next to you. There's a microphone.
Hi, Eddie Goldman from No Holds Barred. First of all, congratulations, Anthony. Can you tell us, broader than just the significance of winning an NCAA championship, can you tell us from a sports story and from a human interest story, what impact do you think this is going to have on people, and do you think it's fully sunk in? Because I think it's going to be the biggest sports story of all sports of the weekend.
Thank you. You know, I didn't get into the sport for the attention. I wrestle because I love wrestling, you know, but it inspires me when I get, you know, kids, even adults, who they'll write me on Facebook or send me letters in the mail just saying that, you know, that I've inspired them, and they look up to me, and that, you know, they're motivated to do things that other people wouldn't have thought possible. And that's just, you know, for me, that's just a real blessing in my life. You know, it encouraged me to keep going, just to keep fighting hard. A few weeks ago, I got a stack of letters from an elementary school out in Georgia, and actually it was last year. But I just pulled those letters out again. I was just reading through them, and these are little kids, third graders, telling me that they've been watching me, they're cheering for me no matter what, win or lose, and that's just an inspiration to me. And if I can turn around and help those kids or help adults in the same way, or just inspire them to achieve things, then that's great. But like I said, I'm not in it for the attention. But if I can help change somebody's life for the better, then that's an honor. I consider that a real honor and a privilege. So hopefully, those people can take something away from me, and they can believe in their dreams that anything's possible.
Right down front, and then we'll go over here after that.
Ian McCutcheon from Flow Wrestling. McDonough was hit with a stall underneath you in the first period. What kind of mental edge does that give you thinking, I'm starting to break this kid in the first 2 minutes of the match?
It charges me up. McDonough, he's a great wrestler. Returning national champ, I got a lot of respect for him. I knew going into that match it was going to be a dogfight. I had to go 100%. But as soon as I got that first stall call, it just gave me that extra pump. I knew that he was scared on bottom, and I just need to stick to my game plan. With that stall call, it actually relaxed me a little bit. It's like, okay, it really is like every other match. He's gonna just stall out down there, and I just need to take my time. I didn't want to make any mistakes because guys like that, you give them one opening, they're gonna take it and they're gonna pay for you, make you pay for it. So I was just fortunate enough to be able to stick with the game plan.
Let's go over to the right here.
Hi, Anthony. Jason Gay with the Wall Street Journal. I had a question about before the match. You were, a couple hours before you were doing some of your pre-routines, and you were sitting in the mat by yourself for a little while. And I'm curious what was going through your head at that moment. Were you reflecting about what was coming up, or just the scale of what was to come?
Just everything. I've worked so hard to get here. Really, what I was thinking about was how hard my coaches and I have worked together. Just from the beginning of my wrestling days to now, and just thinking about my family in the stands, my friends, all those people who have sent me those messages, saying they're supporting me, and in my mind, everybody out there in the audience was supporting me, and that just gave me that extra power, But out there on the mat, I was just trying to focus, just trying to relax, just trying to mentally prepare. Just like, this is my moment. I've worked too hard, and there's too many people out there supporting me to let them and let myself down.
You mentioned being scared initially, and is that an unusual feeling for you, or do you always have a little bit of that initially?
It was a little unusual. This year, I think that was the biggest difference in my wrestling. It was my mental game. Going into every match, I was real relaxed, real calm. It seemed like I could slow down the match, but before this match, just nothing but butterflies. I felt like I was going to throw up. I was so scared, I almost started crying. But it's just the atmosphere. It's the national champion finals. I guess that's expected. It's the true athletes that are able to just overcome that. And I just stuck with my game plan. And remember I was watching Cinderella Man before I came in today, and just that at the beginning of that, or at the end of the movie when he's walking out to the ring, it's just dead silent, and he's kind of scared. And then he walks out there, he's like, okay, I'm ready to go, and that just popped through my mind, and it was like, I'm ready to go.
Hi, Ashley Fox from the Philadelphia Inquirer. In addition to watching Cinderella Man, what else did you do? Can you kind of take us through your day? I know you said last night that you didn't think you'd get much sleep. Did you? And just kind of walk us through how your day was.
I didn't get too much sleep. No, I think I fell asleep at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. Woke up, we went to weigh in, and I practiced with my teammate Bubba Jenkins for a little bit, just to get loose. And after that, I just spent the day with my family. My mom, my brother's out here, my sister. We went to the Rocky Stadium, the Rocky Steps, and we were just hanging out there for a little bit. I just wanted to get my mind off wrestling. It's been a long weekend, been a long career, a long season, and I just wanted a few hours just to mentally just relax. I knew coming into here it was going to be crazy enough. So whatever I could do to take that edge off. So, we just did a little sightseeing, got something to eat, and then my family let me go. Fell asleep at the hotel and came here. So just a relaxing day, pretty much. Just really no thought, no talking about wrestling, just family time.
Did you do the steps?
I walked the steps, I was too sore, but my little brother, he ran them up. He had the whole jumpsuit, the gray jumpsuit with the beanie, did the whole jumping up and down at the top, so it was fun. But me, I just watched, too sore to go out there.
Anthony back here on the right, and then we'll come over here.
Hi, Sal Musto of Cronkite Sports in Phoenix. Anthony, when you look back on your life, your journey from when you first stepped on the mat to this point right now where you're at, you accomplished your goal, what was the turning point in your life that, got you jump-started to where you are now?
Honestly, it was, I think it was my sophomore year. I took sixth in high school state, and a good friend of mine, he was a state champion that year. And, I wanted to be a state champion just like him. A lot of people weren't giving me credit for that. They didn't think I had a shot at it. But I think that was really the turning point. It was like, I want to be like that guy. I want to be the best in the state. And once I won that, it was like, I want to be the best in the nation. And it went from there. Wrestling, it's been a huge thing in my life. Wrestling's been my life for 9 years now. I don't know what I'm going to do without competition now, but, it's been a blessing in my life. It's taught me so much. It's really helped me to become a man. And, I'll be forever grateful for that.
Last question over here on the left. Go ahead.
Eddie Goldman again. Anthony, even though it sounds like you're done wrestling competitively, do you want to continue to have some, you're still obviously a very young man, just getting done with college, do you want to have some direct connection to wrestling since it's so important to you, either coaching or part of Arizona State, which almost closed down your program, or USA Wrestling or some other wrestling organization?
Oh, absolutely. Wrestling's given me so much. I feel like I'm obligated to, help in whatever way I can. And I'll definitely be around Arizona State wrestling room, just helping out the younger guys as much as I can because, I'm very grateful to them. They're one of the few Division I schools who gave me a shot, and I had some coaches that believed in me. And I want to be able to help them, just to say thank you, and help those kids that, like myself, others wouldn't have given a shot. I want to be able to help those kids rise up out of nothing and achieve their goals, especially in wrestling. So I'll definitely be around. You'll see me around the room.
Anthony, congratulations.
Thank you.